Hey beautiful people, welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl BD.
It's your girl Forens.
And we're back with another episode. I guess our first official episode since we've been back. This one is called The Rise of the Murdoch Dynasty. Yeah. Hold on, before we start, I'm drinking Moscato today. Are you drinking anything?
Tea.
So this documentary is kind of all over the shop. Like, it jumps all over the place, but I feel like eventually we get to a happy medium. We get to a place where it's like, okay, I understand what's going on, but it jumps around a bit. There are 3 episodes in this series. We're going to cover all 3 episodes in this episode, but I still strongly recommend that you watch the documentary. I really enjoyed this thing because, not enjoyed it in terms of it was really fun to watch, but enjoyed it because it was like really eye-opening, and I feel like I learned a lot from it. But yeah, episode 1 is called Kingmaker, and this documentary is basically about Rupert Murdoch, his power, and just his life and everything. Now, I had heard of him. I'd heard of Murdoch. I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't really know what he did or how he was famous. He was just one of these old white men that was just rich. Do you know what I mean? He was one of them people.
I knew who Murdoch was because I remember the scandal, and I just knew that he owned a lot of newspapers. Truth be told, it was eye-opening. There was a lot of stuff that it gives you a lot of insight to stuff that you'd read about or heard about. And, it gives you... And I just heard that he was like a shark and he was quite an unpleasant person. So it gives you a lot of insight. But
There's a lot behind the scenes as well.
Yeah, literally. So I knew who he was, but I obviously didn't know how influential he was. So that was interesting.
I feel like Murdoch was the original influencer of he literally was bad beef.
The Molly May of newspapers.
But the first person we meet in this documentary is this guy called Les Hinton, right? And he's talking about how he's worked for Murdoch for 52 years, yeah? Just remember 52 years, because I feel like it's important to remember that he was with this guy for 52 years, yeah? And the documentary opens up with them telling us about this secret company meeting they're having on Hayman Island in 1995. They're trying to discuss the company and the direction and the plans, and it's like a conference kind of thing, yeah. And then the narrator, whose voice is really the narrator's voice doesn't match the times that we're in. The narrator's voice matches 1995, but this documentary
I get what you mean.
I don't feel like it was made in 1995. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't match to me. But
I guess it makes sense because it dips in and out of the time, whatever's. We are in the 90s, then we get to noughties. We're only in present day.
But her voice is the same the whole time.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, and there's a lot of archival footage, so yeah, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
But the narrator basically says that Murdoch is turning 65, which is mad because he looks a lot older. This whole time he just looks old. But he's only 65, at the beginning. Do
you know what it is? I think because we see him at the end where he really does look like this guy needs to sit down and rest. Yeah. I think he does look... But then no, because do you know what? My dad just turned 57 and he's almost 60. That man looks like he at that point, when he was 65, had decades on my dad.
He looked 80.
Yeah. So actually, yeah.
Yeah, he looks old. And I feel like he maybe just stopped aging, but it's not because, he wasn't getting older. It's just he'd looked old for so long. Now his age is catching up with his face.
Yeah,
that's what
the difference between he's 65 and he's 85 isn't that much.
It isn't that much. Yeah, exactly. Considering. At 65, you're still a spring chicken, bruv.
Oh, yeah.
So this whole thing, Forens was saying at the beginning, there's a lot that goes into it, yeah? So he basically is talking about who's going to win this whole, which kid is going to inherit the
kingdom.
Family.
The keys to the kingdom.
He's the heir of the kingdom. I knew that was coming. But we get this, family tree animation thing. It has Murdoch at the top, and then it has, his 3 children. He's got a daughter called Elizabeth, a son called Lachlan, and another son called James, right? Mm-hmm. And so he kind of likes to play them off each other, who's gonna, keys to the kingdom
evil
type
bastard.
Shit, yeah. Which is literally, it's just kind of brother, why?
But sidebar, can I just say, I did a side goog because I was doing a lot of goog whilst I was watching this, and he actually has another daughter that they don't mention. Her name's Patroon.
Is she older?
Yes, she's the eldest, and like she just doesn't get mentioned.
Do you know why I realised?
Why?
Do you know why? Because in this documentary we see 3 of his wives, but then also in the documentary the narrator's like, oh, this is his 4th marriage, and I'm like, they didn't really mention another wife, and obviously he's still married to the last one, which means there must have been one before, so she probably came from the one before.
Yeah, she did, and it's like no mention of her, no mention of what. It's like she doesn't exist as one of his kids,
but she probably wants no parts. Parts.
It's like that. I don't know if you know, but like, you know, the Osbournes, like Ozzy Osbourne,
yeah,
they have this like secret kid that wants no parts of their shenanigans, and you never hear of her, and you never literally. It's just I guess it's like that. She might want no parts.
She probably wants no parts, man. I would just be like, just run me my check and let me be out. But then but she probably wants no parts. I mean, to be honest, by the end of this documentary, not many of the kids want parts anyway. So we will get there. So Elizabeth is like the model child. She's smart. She's like her dad. Lachlan is kind of cocky, strategic, laid back, and James is like the black sheep of the family. Yeah, Lachlan's the sexy one, isn't it?
He's very paying.
But James is the taller one.
Yeah.
Right?
But James looks like a school shooter.
Yeah, he does.
Yep.
He looks. Do you know there's that scene where he has the interview near the end, and he like keeps adjusting himself in the chair.
I'm like, he definitely shoot up a few schools. Yeah.
He would have, but I feel like if he was born into a different life, that might have been him.
Yeah.
Random thing about James as well was like he dropped out of Harvard and decided to invest in rap music.
Do you know what this just reminds me of? Chet. What's that one? Chet.
Yeah.
Hanks. Yeah. Like I just said, every white rich family has a Chet. Clearly, like just that black sheep that decides, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper. Like
black
what
sheep,
the
rap
hell?
sheep. It doesn't make any sense
at all.
It was so random. I was like, why did you even include this? But okay, cool. So now we get to the whole point of the documentary, right? In my opinion, which is the whole like prime minister thing, which I was just like, what the hell? So at this point, it's around 1995, and the prime minister of the UK is John Major. I didn't know that. The first prime minister I actively remember is Tony Blair, but John Major. Yeah. So Murdoch doesn't like John Major because John Major is trying to like regulate Murdoch's businesses, like how far he can, like his influence basically. And we see Tony Blair at the Murdoch meeting on the island, like the Hayman Island thing. And he is his lower third when Tony Blair comes along is leader of the opposition because he's obviously opposing John Major. Yeah, okay. So backstory on Murdoch: his dad owned a newspaper empire. He died really young, so he couldn't leave all of the newspaper empire to him. So they split it up, and he basically ended up with one newspaper and then ended up building his empire from there. Murdoch has newspapers all over the world, and then when it comes to the UK, he wants to buy basically more. But apparently there's an actual law that says that you can't like own everything, basically. But it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, literally, especially like if you look at like America, and I know we'll touch on this a bit, but if you look at like America, like they have like Fox News, and I can't remember the other one my mum watches.
CNN.
Yeah, no, not CNN. Yeah, actually it's CNN. Yeah, CNN.
Yeah,
and
those
it's
are
like,
the two that I remember.
Yeah, it's like opposing. Like, so Fox
one's far right, one's far left.
Yeah, literally, and I mean, obviously, that's a very extremist country because they seem to have no middle ground.
There's no middle ground.
It literally,
There's
like
no
I don't know
in America.
Well gone for that country, but it makes sense that not one person should own the media because
everything. Yeah,
literally, they will put out their agenda, and then where do you go if you want to hear like news that isn't flipping like conservative? So yeah.
Do you remember that clip of, I think it's Denzel Washington, and he's like, if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed. If you watch the news, you're misinformed.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what are you supposed to do?
After watching this documentary, that's what I just said. I just said, you know what, like,
trust
this
no
just
one,
reaffirms my approach to like news.
Exactly.
Like, I look up what I need to see and what's current, but I'm not going to sit there and literally watch news because you what you're seeing is propaganda. Like,
it is,
we think we're like, oh, we're democratic, but we're basically flipping in North Korea ourselves because like it's
true. The thing is that there's just the facade of you have a choice, but really you don't have a choice.
You're just a sim.
You're a sim.
It's just that our PM doesn't have like black hair and wear boot cut. I'm sort of talking about Kim Jong-un before he finds me. Please, okay.
Wait, do you know that this is the same year that apparently he was dead, but he wasn't dead? That all happened this year.
Yeah, but then I heard the other day that like he's apparently dead again. So either way,
he's not dead,
I need to put out there that I'm not wishing this man ill. I don't want him dead. I'm not celebrating. Listen.
Evil doesn't die. That Murdoch is still alive, you know. Evil doesn't die.
He reminds me of, this is what I was thinking of. He reminds me of Mr. Burns from Simpsons.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
But I feel like
same
Mr.
vibes.
Burns is a nicer guy.
No, same energy.
No? Well, I haven't watched Simpsons in a while. I thought he had a heart. No, do you know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Squidward.
Squidward was misunderstood. Squidward was not
Exactly.
a bad guy.
I thought Squidward was actually a nice guy.
Literally,
Like, he just,
the older I
he
get,
was
the
just
more I can
misunderstood.
relate. Because if I had a neighbour like
Yeah.
SpongeBob, in this life that's
Imagine.
so difficult, I'd be that way
Imagine.
inclined as well. So
Imagine. This is what I mean. Like, maybe, yeah, Mr. Burns, I'm thinking of Squidward. And they're all
Yeah.
the same vibe, so it's whatever. Okay, so he can't own all the newspapers, yeah, but he's besties with Margaret Thatcher, that witch, and so she lets him buy them. So,
There you
this
go.
is a problem that follows us throughout this documentary. Basically, he has power, he has influence, and people want to impress him, and so he gets what he wants, right?
yeah, he's basically our PM, but we just don't know it.
The bottom line, we could end this episode right here, yeah? Murdoch is in charge of everything. Everything that's happened, down to even Brexit, yeah? Everything that has happened
He's
is down to
orchestrated.
Murdoch.
No, down
Okay.
to Trump, which is more recent.
Yeah, even Trump,
Trump
bruv.
before Brexit. I
No,
can't
Trump.
remember.
No, Trump.
No.
Oh,
Trump was first.
no,
Trump was first.
Trump was no, because Trump was November. He was elected 2016, but we voted for Brexit in June of 2016.
Oh,
So Trump was more recent. He was
Okay.
campaigning that year, and then I think they voted in November, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
But anyway, all roads lead to Murdoch. Essentially,
Literally all roads lead to
it goes all the
Murdoch.
way to the top.
All the
because
way
it
to, and
does.
this time, you know, I always say it goes all the way to the top. Trump. This time
Trump.
it really does. Like
Fam.
fucking.
When I saw
all-
Trump in it, I said, "Here we go."
Here
Of
we
course, there
go.
couldn't be some fuckery if
yeah,
Trump
but
wasn't
flies
involved.
always like find their way to shit, so it makes sense.
Wait, what?
Like it makes sense that Trump and Murdoch would be
Is that a
associated.
saying?
I don't know, but if it isn't, it should be. Flies will always find shit.
I mean, they will. They will. They actually will. Throughout this documentary, we see clips. Okay, so like I said, this documentary is all over the shop, yeah? But we see clips from the Leveson inquiry in 2012 where different people, politicians, they're testifying. They're basically talking about what happened because of the phone hacking scandal that we get to later. So we see John Major take the stand and he says...
Mr. Murdoch said that he really didn't like our European policies and he wished me to change our European policies.
Which is like basically him saying like, fam, change the policies or you're not going to win this election.
Yeah. And
Right?
never, like, where the hell does a flipping newspaper owner come and get off telling you, like, to change
And
policies?
Australian, American,
And this is
non-British.
the thing that is so weird. Like, he's not even fucking British. Like, he is originally Scottish, like, ages from, like, years ago. But
Yeah, like back in the day.
literally, he's Australian. Like, what the hell is
Yeah.
going on? And do you know what? I always thought he was British before this documentary
I thought so.
because
I thought so
of
too.
how prominent he is in British.
How involved he was. It's like, just stay out of Britain's business, honestly.
Literally, mind the business that
Proper
pays
in.
you.
Mind your business. So Major basically says that he felt like Murdoch was hinting that he wanted Britain to leave the EU. This is time ago because this, where he's testifying, is 2012, yeah? But this occurred before that time. Do you know what I mean? And it's like he basically orchestrated this whole
Everything.
thing so that we would leave the EU. He's not even British. Like, are you not embarrassed? I don't understand this government. Like, it's very embarrassing because
What an embarrassment.
Honestly, because I'm just thinking, my brother, this is why nobody rates you. So fast forward to the election now, and the Sun is backing Blair, of course, yeah? And not only backing Blair, but they're aiming to take down these Tory MPs, yeah? And I remember the Sun as a child because it was always like, obviously there was like page 3 girls, yeah?
Oh, yeah,
But there was
yeah.
always like scandalous, like
Salacious,
front page.
just, yeah.
Salacious, exactly.
But also, can I just say, this is why the British public is so dumb. Because it's
So
like,
thick.
you're watching, you're looking at a newspaper, just how many years ago, they loved Tories. They were all over Conservative. Oh, John Major, oh. And then suddenly,
And all of a
just like
sudden-
that, the only political party this guy Murdoch belongs to is himself. Anything that serves him, that's where he's going. It's weird.
But it's the same thing. People don't realize who is in charge or like how it, you think that you're making decisions based on yourself and what you think and what you feel. You don't realize that you're being influenced. It's like now when I go on Zara and I buy all these clothes, yeah, it's not just because I want to buy clothes, it's because I've seen all these jumpers and dresses on Instagram and now I want to buy them. Do you know what I mean? But in my head I've made a decision and I've gone to buy them. No, I have been influenced. Like, you don't just do anything for no reason. Everything you do stems from something.
Yeah.
And I think the British public didn't realize that all of these newspaper articles and all of these these smart headlines and stuff like that is basically leading you to make this decision or to at least have these thoughts. And then, bam, you vote for whoever Murdoch wants or vote. Do you know what I mean? Like democracy, but not really.
I agree.
So we see a former reporter who's like,
You have to break the law, you conned people, you lied to almost to everyone you came across to do with the story.
which is very indicative of the Sun and how it was and all that stuff. So now we're in May 1997. It's election night. And who wins the election? Murdoch, in the form of Tony Blair. Yay! In the form of Tony Blair.
Tony
and,
Blair's a sim.
Fab.
It's like he's playing PS4 or whatever, and we're all just like...
Yeah,
characters,
characters. The thing,
yeah.
We're not even characters. The politicians are the characters.
We are just
and
like...
we're,
you know when
we're
you're playing,
just the extras.
You know when you're playing like GTA? I don't know if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto, and then you have like the main shooter guy that's going around shooting people and like...
And you have the people living their lives and just
living
dying.
their lives. We are those people. Like, we're
those
one of the
people.
bitches that he tells to get out of the car and steal the car. But
Yeah.
like, we're not
Yeah.
really involved. Like, once the car's driven
Yeah.
off, nobody knows who the
It's
hell
just
we are.
consequences.
Consequences.
Yeah.
Where's that from?
Is that you? I
Love
don't
and Hip Hop?
remember. Oh yeah, Cons. Do you remember him?
Yep. Consequence.
Oh, he was trash. Lord, wow, flashback. So we're back to the kids, right? Lachlan's working for his dad at one of the newspapers. James is okay. So we told you before, James was at the record label, yeah. But his dad bought the record label from him, and now he works there. And I just feel like you know when someone's like, "Oh, these niggas is my sons." Like that literally is like
It's the definition.
Honestly, you were running the record label. Your dad said, "Nah,
this ain't
you
it.
work for me, bitch."
But do you know what I also thought of? There's this whole other element, and we have to talk about this, of white privilege. Because this is the whole problem
Speak
with
on it.
appropriation of culture. White
Yep.
people dip into it. Like, you imagine
so.
a rich white boy, okay? This Murdoch is worth like, is it 16 or 17 billion dollars? Imagine a rich white boy coming and becoming a rapper, setting up his label, doing all of this as a hobby. It's just banter to him. And then when all is said and done, daddy comes and buys off the label, and then he gets a cushy job in, you know, daddy's multi-billion
A&R or
dollar,
whatever.
literally. Like, where does that happen for black people? And this is the thing, like, black people always have to be 10 times better. Which black person has time to just dabble in like music for bants and then go back to a cushy job? Like, it never happens. It never black people go through stages and years trying to make it in the music industry, and it doesn't happen in an industry that they largely created. So it's just the
thing is, James never, he wasn't a rapper, but he just owned the label. And so
no, but
even
in the beginning he used to rap.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh,
and it said
Lord.
he had tattoos everywhere. I didn't see any tattoos. You probably got those lasered off.
But
as
he was
well.
always covered though. When we saw him, he was always
like
doing
remember
up
at
suits.
the end when he had that funny interview, he was wearing like a short sleeve.
Oh yeah, the short sleeve top, yeah, and maybe it's on his tummy. I don't know, like a real thug
I
guy.
ain't trying to see that.
I agree with the whole privilege thing. I also do feel like black people sometimes we want to talk about generational wealth, yeah, but then we also want to get onto people who inherit wealth from their parents. It's almost like we're not used to really seeing it in our own circles. And it's almost like I hate it doesn't happen for us, so I'm kind of mad at it. Whereas we should, do you know what I mean? Like, if I could afford a record label and my daughter wanted to be a singer or a rapper or whatever, and she wanted to be on it, then yeah, cool, jump on that. Do you know what I mean?
I think
But
my
do
irritation just comes from the fact that he knew he was never serious about it. I can just imagine.
You don't know his hopes and dreams?
Well, okay, true, but I can almost just imagine the kind of white boy, like, I just think of Chet.
I know
literally
exactly what you mean.
Chet.
I know exactly what you
and
mean.
I just think you're dipping into the culture for bants, knowing that when all is said and done, you can have your fun. And
It's
then,
cool, yeah.
Yeah, literally, I had this conversation with my sisters about, like, white girls who go through the phase of dating black boys, and, like, not just black boys, but hood black boys, like, rich white girls, knowing that this is just a phase, and when all is said and done, they're going to marry, like, the cushy Eton graduate or whatever. Like, it's just, it pisses me off.
The thing is that, like, even for them, even if they don't believe it's a phase, even if it's their quote unquote preference, which I think that word, like, everyone can have a preference, but there's a reason for your preference, so maybe discover what that is.
So what is the
First of all.
reason?
But what was the reason before screaming preference?
Fam.
It's like, you know that, like, it's not the same for you. Your privilege will always be there. Do you know what I mean?
It will always be a safety net.
It will always save you. Exactly. Like, literally, when all this stuff happens, I just think Get Out. Like, literally, that movie, just epitomizes privilege. And it's like, you have it, so you can choose to step out of it, but then it's never really out of you. It's still your privilege. It's still there. Do you know, that could be a whole
episode.
because
That could be a
I
whole
cannot.
credits.
Like, honestly, speaking of love and stuff, his favorite child, Elizabeth, falls in love with a guy called Matthew Freud, who basically doesn't rate her dad, and openly criticizes him, which I think is so funny. Apparently, he's the grandson of Sigmund Freud.
I know.
Isn't Sigmund Freud that like the psychiatrist? Everyone loves their mum. Well, what? He's one of them. One of them ones, isn't it?
Oedipus syndrome kind of.
Yeah. That's crazy that that's your great granddad though.
Yeah, but this documentary wasn't even accurate. You know, her first husband was like the son of like the Ghanaian, is it president or something?
Huh?
Yeah, like her first.
She was married before.
She was married before that Sigmund Freud guy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they didn't include that. This documentary was already a lot. So I understand why they were missing out.
Yeah, I guess.
Although that first daughter you spoke about, I think they missed out because she didn't want to be part of it. I don't think it wasn't like...
Literally, because they probably made it seem like he only had like the 3 kids and the ones he had later. It was very
fam,
weird.
if you saw the little family tree that they kept drawing. So she is now with Matthew Freud, who doesn't rate her dad. And because of that, like her and her family, they're not as close as they used to be.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like eliminating her from the race of who's going to inherit the kingdom, right? One of the talking heads makes this really good point about the line between press and politics becoming increasingly blurred. Which is essentially, this could have been the blurb of this whole documentary.
Yeah. Literally.
We get an editor saying that when Tony Blair was in office, Murdoch always used to have private meetings with him, just cash. And I just feel like having that kind of access to the Prime Minister of the UK is just kind of like, why?
Why?
Like, to what end?
Yeah.
Very
like,
problematic.
For what need? Like, there's no need.
So now we get into Rebecca Wade. Rebecca Wade, do you know what, one thing nice I'll say about Rebecca Wade is I like her hair colour. She's ginger. It seems like a natural ginger.
That's the hair colour I keep trying to get and I can never. You can never
on a
get
wig,
that
right?
you can never get that natural ginger hair colour.
I think that natural ginger hair colour is unrivaled.
It's so buff. It's either too red, so it's auburn, or it's like orange.
Or it's too orangey.
I've never even seen anyone get that ginger colour on the hair.
I've seen it on Drag Race, but we won't talk about Drag Race because we know your feelings.
Okay.
So Rebecca is the editor of News of the World. And so like we're back to this like that family tree thing, except it's like linking everyone. It's kind of like, have you seen that meme of Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? And there's basically pictures of everyone and pins and rope connecting everyone together, and he just gets kind of crazed. Yeah. That's basically what this thing is.
Literally.
So Rebecca Wade is connected to everyone, basically. Yeah. Like, she's cool with everyone. Everyone that needs... Yeah, she's for everybody. Like, she's thing. They drop her in at this point, but she comes back up later. So, like I said, this thing jumps around a lot. But
literally, because I was like, should I write about her now? But then, yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah, it was really hard making notes on this because there was just so much. And then I was like, let me just write. My notes are quite scanty, but there's a lot that happens. So, yeah. Anyway, Murdoch divorces his wife. So, this is technically his second wife, but this is the first wife in the documentary that we see.
He's with her for 37 years.
No, is he?
Yeah, he was with her for 37
years.
Oh,
I thought, because basically he marries Wendy, who's 37 years younger than him. So I didn't know that he was with the other one for 37 years as well. Or if the 37 was from her being 37 years younger than him.
Okay.
But he was with that wife for a long time. For a long time, yeah. I mean, all of his marriages were quite lengthy.
Yeah, they were decent lengths. He tried.
Yeah, they were quite lengthy, yeah. But then it was like, because I went on Wikipedia after to see if he was still alive, yeah. And I think the first divorce, whatever year he divorced that one is the same year he married the second one. Then the year he divorced that one, 1999, is the same year that he married the second one.
Yeah,
and
so
then the third one, sorry. Yeah, he moves quickly, but he lasts for a long time.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe... Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
I think maybe it's just like trying to get paperwork in, didn't it? With all that money and funds up for grabs. It probably takes a while. That's probably why.
No, but can I also just say, on the topic of sex, looking at him and Wendy, I just... Oh. How?
Even Jerry. There's one picture at the end here where he's like kissing Jerry Hall, and I'm just like,
And the thing is just that, like, okay, I went and I googled like all these women's net worth, like, you know, they all left a very sizable amount of money. It just isn't worth it. Like, if you gave me that amount and said one night, but isn't
it worth it? Okay, listen to me. So Murdoch at 65, obviously he looked the same as Murdoch at 85.
Exactly.
But he may not have been as shriveled. So I feel like his most recent wife is getting really the short straw. Yeah.
She's getting a raisin.
And I feel yeah, but okay, imagine this guy's net worth, yeah. Do you feel you could firm it. Just like a quick 10 years, bruv.
Do you know that I was
10 years.
this
I've known
reminds
you
me
for
of
10 years.
The episode of Sex and the City. Do you watch it? I don't know if you've watched it, but there's an
Sex and the
episode.
City, yeah, I have.
Did you remember the episode where Carrie's dating that older guy and she's basically got like a sugar daddy arrangement? Then it comes down to the sex. So she's in his house, they're about to have
And she's
sex,
not on it.
and he took off his trouser and then he needed to run to the bathroom to get Viagra. And then you see his bum. His bum looks like
Nah,
the
it's
runny,
okay.
sunny side.
It's okay.
There you go, egg.
It's okay.
And
I
that
couldn't
is-
do it. I
That
couldn't.
is the
I
yeah.
couldn't.
That's what I'm saying. I couldn't. I couldn't.
If I could do sugar daddy without the sugar, I think I would be down.
A few dates, companionship, fine. But I am not.
Yeah, I'll chat. I chat to people for free.
Fam. I'm not laying on the boudoir with that man. No. We say all
Yeah,
this,
no,
but
I-
nobody's
yeah.
asking us to. This.
I mean, you never know. You never know. You never know. You never know where time will take us. So there's this bit, yeah, where he marries Wendy in it, and then we hear from the girl who sang at the wedding. When she sang at the wedding, she was 13 years old, yeah, and she tells us how like Murdoch offered to pay her, obviously to sing, or said, "Do you want a favor from me instead?" And then her management is like, "No, just take the favor." And she's 13, like, favor? Like, run me my check. And it just reminds me of that age-old Twitter dilemma when people are like, do you want
Dinner
lunch
with
with
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z or do you want 100K? Dinner with Jay-Z or 100K? And I'm like, you better take your money, B.
That
But
was
you just
another
took the favour.
unnecessary bit. We didn't need
Yeah.
that. And we didn't even see her face. Like, did you clock
We didn't
that
see her face.
we
Yeah,
didn't-
we didn't see her face.
We didn't see her face.
I think they were just trying to show how influential that he was and how
yeah.
powerful he was, even at that time.
We never
But
even found...
that might not even be true.
Literally, we never even found out if the favour materialised to anything.
Exactly.
Although she could be like some really
Exactly.
famous person that's why they hid her face. Maybe Murdoch
maybe.
made her, but I doubt it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. I just literally, like Kanye said, yeah, no one man should have all that power. Like, honestly, it's just it's very disconcerting.
It's very, very problematic.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I even find that scenario very like ego stroking. Like, I could pay you, or I could give
Exactly.
you a favour.
Just
Like,
run me
look
my
at
check.
Literally, just run me my 100K. Let's move on to next. Then.
Let's be going. If you die tomorrow, will your favour do me any good?
Bruh.
I mean, he's still alive, but you know. Okay, so my Wi-Fi is acting mad, I'm not gonna lie. So we've been disconnected, we're back. I'm just trying to figure out what I was even talking about at
Okay,
this
so
point.
we were talking about we just finished talking about the fact that like
Oh, the sons. Okay.
Yeah.
Dinner with Jay-Z or 100K.
Yeah.
So his sons don't really trust Wendy. They don't really like her. But I reckon it's one of those situations where anyone new is threatening their inheritance,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
and if she
Yeah, one of
produces
them
more
things.
heirs as well.
Exactly. So she gets pregnant. She has 2 girls. And then one of the girls, the godfather is Tony Blair,
Yeah.
which, I mean, okay.
That's what I mean.
Cool.
Church and state. It's church
Yeah.
and state.
Exactly. So Rebecca Wade is back, and she is with this guy called what's his name, Alan something.
Ross Kemp.
Alan Colson. No. She's dating Ross Kemp at this
right.
point. Her and Alan, someone, yeah, they are giving like routine evidence to this select committee.
Yeah.
And they get asked if their newspapers use private detectives, if they bug people, if they pay the police. And then Rebecca's like, oh, we have paid the police for information in the past. And her colleague kind of jumps in to save her. And he's like, yeah, well, we operate within the code of the law. But she basically has admitted to paying the police, which is illegal.
Yeah.
But nothing happens as
Yeah.
a result of that.
It's just like, oh, you
Nothing.
commit a crime. That's cool. Next.
Haha, just joking. Literally. And that's episode 1. Basically, that's episode 1.
That is episode
Like,
1.
That's episode 1. Yeah, and everyone's doing fuck shit and no one's getting punished for it. But
Yeah.
that is a theme that continues through this whole thing.
Me,
right?
yeah.
So episode 2 is called The Rebel Alliance. We get on-screen text telling us we're in November 2003 at the Sky TV headquarters, and Rupert Murdoch is doing an interview saying that he's decided that James, the school shooter, is going to take over his B-Sky B company. And obviously everyone thinks it's nepotism because James isn't qualified. Cue dramatic theme music. But then James is not qualified. Like,
Yeah.
James is actually not qualified.
Yeah, he's actually the least qualified person for the job. And this
Like,
just
on
lets
earth.
me know, guys, I just want to say that never think that you're underqualified for a job. Trump is
Exactly.
president. James was running B Sky B. There's nothing you cannot do.
There's nothing you can't do.
Just
yeah.
apply, literally, because it's
Honestly.
ridiculous. The people in
And
power.
the thing is, I'm not anti-nepotism
yeah,
because I feel like if my child decides that she wants to get into hosting or she wants to do anything, I'm going to send her to you and she's going to get a job. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also do feel like nepotism is made better by being good at the job.
Yep.
By being qualified.
Yeah.
I feel like then it's just kind of like, it's about who you know, but then it complements your skills and
Yeah,
all
it's
the
the
stuff
whole
that you
thing of
already
when
have.
like preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
But a lot of these people are not even trying to prepare. They haven't even gotten off the couch to prepare. But the opportunity
there is
has
no
just
prep.
met them, literally. So they're working from their couch. Meanwhile, the rest of us are out jogging, trying to meet that opportunity. So it is, yeah.
So now Rebecca's getting married to this guy called Charlie Brooks. Charlie Brooks is besties with David Cameron. Why? Because they went to Eton together. And this is what we mean by privilege, yeah? There's certain rooms that you'll never ever be able to enter because you've not been in other rooms.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
you can't enter my bedroom because you haven't been through my front door. And
Exactly.
that's the reality of the situation for
Exactly.
most of us. We're never going to get into the bedroom because we never got through the front door.
fam, we don't even know the address. Like, honestly.
You don't even know literally the postcode, let alone the door number. Like
the door number, honestly.
Because when this wedding
Honestly.
scene makes me realise that we don't have a fucking
You never
clue
had a
what goes
chance.
on in this country.
You never had a chance.
Yeah.
Honestly. So this wedding is basically like the creme de la creme of all the politicians and celebrities
Society,
and things.
yeah.
Charlie Brooks is besties with David Cameron. Rebecca is besties with Rupert Murdoch. So it's just
And she's also besties with Cameron's wife as well.
Sarah Cameron. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then at this point, Gordon Brown is the Prime Minister and David Cameron is the opposition, right? Now, David Cameron is the opposition who's besties with Charlie Brooks, who's married to Rebecca, who's besties with Murdoch. So, again, the whole family tree thing on screen is going crazy now because there's all these like links with each
so many
other.
links, yeah.
Exactly. So then one of the talking heads, Nick Davies, who is actually my favourite person on this documentary, he says,
This is not a game. These are the most powerful people in the UK deciding what should happen to the UK, and none of the rest of us is being invited.
Literally. And it's just this weird scene because you just imagine this wedding, and I'm not saying that like Rebecca and Charlie don't love each other or didn't get married for love, but you just see this wedding that's almost like a facade for what really is like a political
business
event.
meeting.
Literally a business meeting. Because all these people are at this wedding, who even knows if these people, and there was a point where Nick was like, none of the people there even knew the bride or groom intimately. It was almost like they were all peacocks just putting out their feathers for Rupert to pick which one he wanted to take home. Like,
knowing that Murdoch was going to be there and trying to get as close to him as possible.
Yeah, literally. And it just, it was really weird. It was sad. And this is what I mean. Like, we don't even know what goes on in this country because decisions were being made about the future of this country and we had no fucking clue. And then you go you vote for a referendum and you think, oh yeah, I really did something.
And
but you did nothing.
And then they tell you, it's 55 to 45% or whatever. And you really think that you had it. And this is why, like, I understand why people are like, fuck voting and nothing of it is real. I get it. I mean, I'm still going to vote because, like, women were trampled by horses and stuff. Yeah. But I just also believe that, like, there's a certain naivety to thinking that, like, all you have to do is vote and things will be right. That's not how it works.
No.
Like, the game is rigged.
Yeah. We need this. I don't even know if this generation of old rich white men die, if things will get better. I don't know. I
don't think they will. And this is going to sound unrelated, yeah? But this is just how I feel about, like, misogyny. Because you think, oh, yeah, all that whole generation will die off. But there are still bits of misogyny in the people of this generation, both men and women.
It's just a different kind, yeah.
It's a different kind, breed, and maybe it's not as loud, but it's still there. Which means that in the households of that our generations, like, birth or whatever, there's still going to be that thread because it just never fully dies. Do you get what I mean? It might be okay for me to go out and get a job and work, and maybe my husband doesn't mind cooking or being a stay-at-home dad, but there's still going to be people who believe that men are the creme de la creme and above everyone and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know. Speaking of Nick Davies, it's really depressing when you think about it. It's just like, what is the point? Like, what is anything? Why do I go to work? Why do I do anything?
This is what I say. I don't get it. What is the reason?
I just want to go to an island and just have the island and just just live on the island and not have to interact with like the wider society.
Literally. Even when you think about making like a lot of money, you just think these are the people that you end up schmoozing with and all that. Like, who wants to be part of this shit?
Honestly. And I feel like it gets to a point where like you have to be part of it. That's all you have. All these billionaires and stuff. It's like I'm sure Epstein was besties with Murdoch and them man too. They must have all been in the same circles.
Yeah, because money talks to money. Like, so you're gonna go where the money leads you, and then you have to. That's why people always say like Hollywood is a very dark place. Like, forget all the red carpet and the whatever. Like, the stuff that goes on and the stuff you have to overlook because like some of these people are cutting you a check. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So Nick Davies, you spoke about him earlier. He is the reporter who broke the phone hacking scandal, and I actually remember the phone hacking scandal as a child. We also meet Max Mosley. So remember, this episode is called The Rebel Alliance, which is basically all the people who are like, fuck Murdoch, basically.
I have a lot to say about Max Mosley.
I have a lot to say about Max Mosley, like, honestly, and I knew that you would as well. So Max Mosley is the president of Formula One. And his mum was besties with Hitler. Now, I don't know if it's the fact that his mum was like actually friends with Hitler, that threw me. Or if it was the fact that his mum was friends with Hitler and he's still alive, as in terms of history, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of both. It was a bit of like, if my mum was friends with Hitler, I would literally bury that. It's so deep in the family chest, nobody would ever be able to find that out. That's one. So I found it shocking that we even had that information.
No, but I feel like it I don't know.
It's in history books, but Hitler must have had a lot of friends. Like, come on. But then,
I mean, she must have been his Cody. Like,
yeah, but then it was the realization that some of this stuff we talk about isn't that. It's just like slavery. Like, when you realize that some people who were slaves have only just recently died, you realise it wasn't that long ago. Yeah. Literally.
Even Emmett Till wasn't that long ago. Them man are still alive.
Fam.
And this is the problem. This is why, like, this racism and all this stuff doesn't go away, is because you man are still alive. You man can still be perpetuating the same feelings, thoughts, ideologies.
Yeah, it's actually crazy when I found out that, like, in history books, like, they make pictures black and white so that you think it's older than it was. Which is why, like, when all these riots were happening, they told us, like, take your pictures in colour.
Yeah, of course,
they'll try and make it seem like
it was ages ago. We were trying to do aesthetic.
Fam.
Visco filter.
Fam.
Murdoch's back to Max, Murdoch's papers report that he has an orgy with 5 hookers. I'm saying hookers because they said hookers, Yeah. That was back in the day, is what they called them.
Yeah.
He never denies it, But he seems really inconvenienced.
Literally,
he seems really inconvenienced.
How dare you make me go to court?
Exactly, and then he has to tell his wife. So he makes this whole spiel about having to tell his wife, and I'm like, no one should really care what consenting adults do, But I feel like when there's infidelity involved, like maybe you should like rethink some of the decisions that you're making.
Because the thing that annoyed me about his whole thing was just that, like, so he goes on and on about how if he was annoyed, like, obviously they called the hookers like Nazi whatevers, and there was no Nazi element to it, but it was like, you fucking cheated on your wife. And then I get it.
With 5 women.
Murdoch did ruin, like, your family in a sense by breaking the story, but you also ruined the family by getting your cock out.
Thank
like
you.
That.
This is
ultimately,
the point.
if you had kept it in your pants zipped up, this never would have happened.
This is the point. So for me, it was like you're trying to make out like, what's his name? Murdoch is the reason. So basically, his son was on drugs, got clean, then all of this scandal broke, he went back on drugs, and then he died. So he's trying to make out like Murdoch is the reason that his son died, when actually Murdoch didn't make up this story, and then, it came to light. Like, you actually did this. Like, you actually did it.
Your wife could have walked in on you, and it probably would have had this, like, having this orgy.
Exactly.
And it probably would have had the same effects. It's just that Murdoch chose to break the story, which was not a great thing to do, but cheating on your wife is really not a great thing to do either. So.
Exactly. Like, I'm not Team Max or Team Murdoch. But Max is really trying to do a victim here, and it's like, you were complicit in the things that happened. So how can you come out here and just be doing woe is me,
you were
woe is me?
complicit in the cheateration. I'm sorry, but
holleration in the dancery, fam. I just don't really understand it,
bruh. Men be menning. That's just all I can say.
And that's on period.
On period. Men be menning. Like, it's just what it is.
We're both in very happy relationships, so when we say men are menning, not us.
Sorry, we found the unicorns. Sorry to you lots.
I saw this tweet that was like that I hate men, but the except mine is silent.
Literally.
That's actually what it is.
That's how it be.
So Nick Davies is telling us how News of the World were listening to people's phone calls, people's voicemail, royal families, celebrities, politicians,
Anyone can get
footballers,
it.
even members of the public, yeah. And that's how they were getting all the scoop for their news and their front page. Instead of you to help solve crimes and do something good with your phone hacking, you just want to sell papers. How much is a paper even? How much money could they have been making?
It was like 70p.
Like, it's less than a pound.
But they were making money. They were making peas because people were buying them. Like, don't forget,
true,
you think about us as like, okay, the educated people who know not to like,
Indulge in the
consume the salacious news. But there are people who like,
Every day, without fail.
And they lap it all up, and you see it when
People just want to feel better about it. It's like us watching reality TV, innit? It's like you want to be like, oh, at least I'm not them.
exactly.
Especially when it's politicians and things,
Yeah.
you know? So do you remember at the end of the last episode, I was like, oh, there's a familiar face.
Yeah.
Did you recognise the person?
No.
So remember Paul the Prick from the Barrymore episode?
Yes. Was he in this?
He was in this. He was in this.
I didn't recognise his face. Who was he in
No,
this?
he was in this, and his voice was exactly. I knew it from his voice alone, because he was in that Barrymore documentary, basically telling us that he could do telling us that he was trash.
Yeah.
And again, here he is telling us that he was trash.
Is he the one that was wearing like his
The
hair...
suit. He was like, I don't remember what his hair was like, but he basically was like how he in the Barrymore episode. He was like how he went to Stuart's mum's house
pretended to
and
be
said that she, in a suit, and basically was like, yeah, I'm on the case, and blah 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 blah. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That guy.
I know the guy, but I don't recognise him.
In his thing, he looks the same.
Okay, I have to go
He's
back
skinny.
and look.
He was after, there was like that Liverpudlian guy who was like, oh, we used to and then the other guy after him, the skinny white guy.
I need to go back and look.
I saw him and I was like, damn it.
So
and it
he's
makes so much
everywhere.
sense because all of this was happening around the same time.
And also,
that Barrymore
Paul the
stuff.
Prick works for the Sun as well. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It just it's like full circle moment.
Yeah.
In the Alliance, we have, I think it's just really like, not sad, but it's kind of like, is this school that you man have like formed an alliance? Like, what kind of club is this?
Leave them.
We have this guy called Alan. We have Nick Davies. We have Max Mosley. We have Hugh Grant randomly. Oh, no, it's not random because he had the scandal where the sex worker was sucking his dick in the car.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, okay, so that was his gripe with
Murdoch. And it's like, again, it's like, well, you were getting fellatio from
I mean,
a sex
it did
worker.
happen, didn't it?
It's
shouldn't
just
matter.
that you got caught. Like, so this is the issue.
It shouldn't matter, but you're Hugh Grant, and so
Yeah.
people will care.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If some Tom, Dick and Harry was getting their dick sucked in the car, no one would care.
But the thing, what my whole thing is that, like, he's mad at Murdoch, which, okay, all well and good, but like, you actually were like receiving the.
And
so
this
again,
is the
it's
thing.
the whole
This is what
thing
this
of like, you're
alliance
not
is kind of like.
It's all problematic people as well, because like, you're not really mad like at fake stories. This is just that you just don't want your business out there. But if you weren't really doing the business, it wouldn't be out there. So,
Which is, do you know what? It's fair enough not wanting your business out there, but like then you should have just got your dick sucked in your house.
exactly.
And then maybe they would have
Nobody
anyone
would
to
have
catch you.
known, like.
Yeah, I don't condone the Sun, News of the World, or them, man. I don't. But like the victimization that men can so easily like bestow upon themselves, and
Literally, when
take
they are
zero
when
accountability.
they are doing the down and dirty.
So yeah, Hugh Grant and then Tom Watson, who's an MP and like friends with Gordon Brown. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them in this magical superhero circle known as the Alliance. Which I'm actually not going to make fun of them because they actually did some good.
Yeah. They
So
did.
yeah, back to the politics thing now again, because this is just an ongoing theme of how Murdoch basically picks our prime ministers.
Yeah.
Murdoch was supporting Brown. He says, fuck that. So he's not supporting Brown anymore. Who does he support? Cameron. If we go back, Cameron is besties with Charlie Brooks, who's married to Rebecca Brooks, who's besties with Murdoch, right? Who becomes prime minister? Cameron.
And it's all this thing of back and forth, Tory Conservative, like.
Exactly. There's no theme. There's no
And
theme.
nobody
There's no
even
anything.
notices this. Nobody cares.
Exactly.
Anything that's printed, the British public just laps
That's what
it
it
up.
is. It's just a case of
it's
who
scary.
who can push my agenda.
Yeah,
and then
who
Murdoch
can
just
get me
support that person.
what I want, basically.
What I want. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, Millie Dowler, which I think, do you remember in the Barrymore episode we were trying to remember the story of something that happened with the phone hacking scandal.
Yeah.
I listened to that episode because I was trying to make the playlist, and I remember I was trying to remember something that happened that basically broke the story.
Yeah.
And this is I believe was the case, right?
Yeah.
So a young girl goes missing. They hacked her voicemail, and so now it's like a scandal because before, almost like what we were saying with celebrities, yeah, it's like, okay, you kind of brought this on yourself.
Yeah.
Like you did it. They hacked your phone. It's sad, but like you did it.
Yeah.
But now it's like people actually care because this is a normal person, a vulnerable parent whose child has gone missing.
Yeah.
And you've hacked their phone. Like that was like, okay.
That was like literally, that was the yeah. And the sad thing about that one as well was the mum was basically saying that, like, obviously, she'd been calling her and the phone was like saying the voicemail was full because like she kept calling and calling. Then finally she called and it went through and she was like, oh my gosh, like Millie's alive, like she's checked her voicemail, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't. It was just that they had hacked it, so they'd cleared everything else and then made space. And that's when I was just like, yeah, this is seriously fucked up. Like, this is really, really fucked up.
And even the mum explaining that story was just like, you could see like the joy in her eyes when she thought that her daughter.
Yeah.
It was just like, I mean, all to sell a couple papers. Like, is the money... Anyway, I've never had money like that. So maybe money will really have you doing crazy things like that.
It's problematic.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. To save themselves, they throw all their employees under the bus, basically to save the family.
Yeah.
Now, remember this guy from the beginning, Les Hinton, yeah? He'd been working there for 52 years. Murdoch basically tells him to quit, makes him the scapegoat.
Yeah.
And you know what's so funny to me is that, like, this guy is still, like, it's like he has Stockholm syndrome. It's like he's still not saying anything bad about Murdoch.
Spiritual
like,
bondage.
Spiritual bondage. And, like, you were working for this guy for 52 years, yeah?
And he makes
you were not involved in this
yeah.
hacking scandal. He's made you the scapegoat. You've lost your job.
Literally.
And you're still defending him.
Literally.
Not a single Murdoch was fired or suffered any consequence.
It was very scary to watch because, again, it just shows his influence is not just money. There's also something about who he is that gets people. When he gets you, he really does dig his
power, power.
And I think this is, again, we didn't mention this, but in the beginning when Tony Blair was getting into bed with Murdoch, a lot of people in the Labour Party weren't happy with it because they knew, like, and it's the same thing. It's like,
you're gonna
sell
him.
your soul to the devil, you will pay the price. Like, you're gonna owe him. So
yeah, it's crazy. But then what's even funnier is that after this whole scandal, David Cameron, who Murdoch put in charge, now he can't be seen to be doing up besties with Murdoch. So they all turn against him. They're all speaking out against him because they can't. The public are not going to support you. Like Millie Dowler was a young girl. Her mother was an innocent woman, normal woman, everyday woman like you and me. So
she's too relatable. He now turns against.
Yeah, exactly. He now turns against it. And so then, remember last episode I was basically saying how Rebecca was basically baiting out the fact that they paid the police, and she had her colleague there, Andy.
Yeah.
It turns out his name is Andy Coulson. He goes to prison for the phone hacking scandal. Rebecca stands trial, but she's found not guilty. And it's like, yes, Andy was trash, yeah, and he was culpable, but then he also wasn't the only one. But then he was the only one that was punished. Which is and just, you lie with dogs, you get up with fleas. Like, literally, you will be affected.
There was even evidence that James knew what was going on and said nothing.
He knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
They
Either
all
he
knew.
or he didn't know. And then it's like, what kind of business are you running where you don't know what's happening? So either way, you look like a mug.
And also, Murdoch was trying to buy up more of Sky. And then obviously after this, like that, they prevented that deal from happening. Because if he had done that, he would have bought all the Sky networks, excluding Sky News. Yeah. And they prevented that from happening, which was good because, again, you just can't have somebody like that, like, own it. No.
Yeah, imagine. So the whole scandal changes Murdoch's mind about who should succeed him, because obviously James has flopped, yeah. Elizabeth is in love with an op. And so now it's just Lachlan that's left,
Yeah.
So now this episode is drawing to a close. They're back at the Leveson inquiry, and then we see, it's mad how at this inquiry, there's 4 prime ministers testifying. 4. You've got Joni, you know, John Major, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, David Cameron. How are you that ingrained in the British politics?
That 4 PMs.
4 as in, and the most recent 4. It's not like, oh, back in the day there was 1.
All of them.
What?
He got his clause in there, and he
held on. Indeed, he's not letting go.
Literally, I'm telling you, you guys think this and that, but it's Murdoch that lives in Downing Street. He is the PM. You just don't know it.
honest, and this is why, like, I really liked the documentary, because it was just literally like, wow, raw. Like, sometimes, yeah, those people who say these things can come across like crazy conspiracy theorists and like, oh, what do you know? But this documentary was really like, do you know what is actually fact?
Yeah. You have no chance, no hope, no whatever. There's no point.
No, whatever. Literally, just get your job and pay your taxes and just hope that you're okay. Because
Just
what?
hope you make it to heaven. That's it. That's where the
Just
reward
hope you make
is.
it to heaven. That's the aim now. That's what we're trying to do now.
Literally.
Nick Davis, we see him at the end, and he says,
The phone hacking saga never really was a story about reporters breaking the law. It was always a story about power and the fear that people have of that power.
and that's on period. Like, honestly, like, literally, no one man should have all that power.
Yeah, literally. You know, nobody should be that omnipotent. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Is it
Exactly.
omnipotent or omnipotent?
Omnipotent. I don't know. I've heard it both ways.
Okay.
When I hear white people say it's omnipotent, and when I hear it in church, it's omnipotent.
Oh, so it's probably omnipotent then. Because that church is going to have the Nigerian...
Omnipotent God.
Yeah, so it's omnipotent. This is back to the whole thing of pronouncing things because your immigrant mother has said something in a certain way, like cucumber. Mum, it's cucumber.
My mum says magician.
No. There's no hope. There's no hope.
I don't know how it even turned out as good as we did. We hold tight the
Fam.
degrees.
Fam.
So we end this episode of on-screen text saying that the Leveson inquiry, so they did this whole inquiry, yeah? What did the inquiry find? It found that all newspapers should sign up to an independent press regulator. But this is yet to happen, okay? And then they announced Leveson 2, like some sequel to a movie, to investigate the relationship between journalists and the police. But that was later cancelled. So what was the reason?
Literally, it's just like the end of this is like the judge just stands up, or whoever is leading this stands up and says, well, in conclusion. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. We'll validate your parking on the way out.
Literally, refreshments at the back. Like, there was just... Okay, so what was... all of this for what? Like, all of this... You lot dragged David Cameron from his pig farm for what? Like...
Wait, what?
Have you not heard the rumours about how he had sex with a pig?
Oh, yeah. No, because that first episode of Black Mirror.
Yes! It was based off of him and his having sex with pigs.
I don't know. Do you know what? At this point, yeah, anything is possible.
And no, because the way they set it up is really plausible. Basically, he went to Eton or whatever. Like, it was a drunk nights out there for him to, yeah. And you know these...
Okay, but to be honest, yeah, them man do crazy days.
That's what I was about to say to you. They do a lot of this weird stuff, so I believe
but bestiality.
I believe it. They probably, yeah.
And it's rape also, because a pig can't consent.
Yeah. So either way, they dragged him from the pig farm for this.
To come and do this all for nothing.
All for nothing. In conclusion, refreshments at the back. Parking validated. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, also, we didn't mention that Murdoch ends up like completely shutting down that paper, so News of the World.
News of the World,
I was wondering why I hadn't heard of it recently, then I remembered. So again, it's really scary because it's the same thing that happens in real life, like in the real world, where
but that's people's
there's
jobs
a problem.
done. Yeah, no, we did because Les Hinton took the fall, and so they closed down that newspaper, and all the employees got fired. But then Les from the higher ups got fired.
It's just the same thing. It's just like with everything that goes on. It's like the same with paying taxes. It's the same with climate change. It's always kind of like the underdogs that this stuff is like targeted at. Whereas the big corporations who are, you know, doing the most never have to deal with the consequences. The consequences.
Yeah.
The consequences. They never have to deal with them. Literally, like, why the fuck are you trying to tax me more when flipping how many of these rich corporations don't...
They said Trump paid $750 in tax last year, you know?
You see, get the hell out. Get the hell out. And it's the average everyday American you're trying to tax. Why are you coming and telling me about climate change and about this and that and the third?
See, but then it's about the power. Because the thing is that the money is only one part. The power is just as important, if not more so important.
Yeah.
Because Murdoch, no political anything. He's running presidencies.
Yeah.
He's running prime ministers.
Yeah. It's
So
true.
that if I can tell Gordon Brown, if I can tell Tony Blair, if I can tell David Cameron what to do, what's a tax man? It's peak.
That is the truth. That is the reality of the situation.
It's peak. And it gets peaker. Episode 3, the comeback. So basically, we've gone through him being successful. We've gone through the downfall, you know, and now it's a comeback. And you think, can he come back? And the answer, long story short, is yes.
Yes.
He can and he does. Okay? Yeah. And he uses us to do it.
Yeah.
So this is the last episode in the series. On-screen text tells us we're now 2 years after the phone hacking scandal. It's the beginning of the 2010s. Murdoch's reputation is in tatters. David Cameron denounces him, which I think is very cheeky because this man put you in power, but he's trying to do what the public need him to do.
This just reminds me of The Office when Brian...
I declare bankruptcy!
No, I don't know that. But that was also
that line just comes into my head every 2 days.
Do you remember when Ryan got arrested for the whole like lying to the
oh yeah
and then he came back to the office as a temp again, receptionist, and then he was making notes of everybody that let him down, and he was like when I'm back on top. This is literally what Murdoch was doing. He had his little notepad and he's just writing people's names. Okay, Cameron,
Ryan started the fire.
Hey, it's fired, guy. Oh, you just need to watch The Office, man. I'm sorry. There's nothing else.
I watch it whenever I'm sad.
I watch it every day.
Yeah, honestly. It's the case now where it's like the episode will start and I'm like, oh, this is the one where...
yeah, literally.
Okay, so this documentary is still exploring who's going to be Murdoch's successor. Because you just think like, oh my God, are we over it now? We don't even care at this point who's going to succeed him.
I literally don't care, like...
But we find out. So Elizabeth, again, is still in love. She doesn't really fuck with the family like that. James, again, flops with the phone hacking scandal. So, I mean, it's Lachlan, clearly. It was always going to be Lachlan, in my opinion. I just felt like it was always going to be him. But Lachlan doesn't like Murdoch's wife, Wendy. And he also doesn't like the guy who runs Fox with Murdoch. This odd white guy, misogynistic, homophobic. He's just one of them guys. Like, he's just that guy. Like, whoever you're thinking, he's just that guy. That's right?
him. Literally.
That's him.
And also, he died at 77. But that man looked 100 in all the clips we saw.
Yeah. Anyway, evil doesn't age you well. So a few things happen over this period of time. So Murdoch's mum dies, and I was thinking, right, is she still alive? But she was, and she dies. His marriage gets a bit strained. It's so funny because he finds out that his wife Wendy fancies Tony Blair. Yeah. Like, he read it in her diary. He saw emails they'd exchanged, and so he basically cuts off Wendy and cuts off Tony Blair.
And it's just like, for her as well, you are a messy bitch.
That's your daughter's godfather. So it's just like...
But she's a sloppy bitch as well, because she wrote like a letter
She fumbled the bag.
Literally, like, what are you doing, sis? These are thoughts that you strictly keep in your head, like, when you know the kind of man you're married to, literally. Not just in your mind, you lock it away in a box in your mind that only has biometric access. You don't go and be writing letters and emails. What the hell were they writing in those emails? Can you imagine sexting over email? And
Blair has his own wife.
Literally. Can you actually just imagine sexting over email, though? Like, by the time the
were
next
they
email
sexting
comes,
though? I feel like they were just like, oh, it was delightful meeting you. That's fine.
When my hand grazed against your calf.
Yeah, and it's so funny because all the pictures they showed of them together, she wasn't even facing him.
She literally was facing Murdoch. So it was
some sly.
I don't know. I don't know. This could have been the whole like Henry VIII thing where he was sick of his wife and like invented something she had and cut off her head. It could have been that. But I'm telling you, because I don't know if they. But the letter was found though. I don't know. Who knows?
I think she definitely fancied Tony Blair though.
Yeah, but who wouldn't? Like, if you're sleeping with...
Do you think Tony Blair was fine?
I think he's okay, but I more mean if that's what you're exposed to as opposed
compared
to Murdoch.
Yeah. Oh, of course, yes, yeah.
Of course you're going to fancy him.
Yeah, that's true. So to recap what's going on with Murdoch's life right now. Private life is messed up. His business has been scandalised. And all the politicians that he basically brought into power have shunned him. So it's not a great time for Murdoch. Cue Nigel Farage, okay, now.
This is what I mean by flies and shit. Like, this is
Nigel Farage.
Flies and shit. Oh,
but you know, if we look at it this way, in that like, sometimes in life you just have to be patient and your time will come. Yeah. Not necessarily in this, situation and in this thing, but your time will come.
Yeah.
I think there's an airplane flying over my thing.
Yeah, I've got like helicopters. But yeah.
Helicopters.
Helicopters.
And we hate Popo. So yeah, his life is basically shit. Nigel Farage comes along. Now, Nigel Farage, for anyone who doesn't know, is the leader of the UKIP party, so the UK Independence Party, right?
Oh, God.
Right. Okay. So Cameron is like, oh, fuck Murdoch, yeah, because he wants to seem like a good guy. And Farage is doing an update night with him and basically explaining the UKIP party and what they intend to do, which is basically make sure the UK leave the EU. Well, would you look at that? Like, it's crazy to me.
It's
just
crazy.
like,
And also on top of that, like, it's always these like extremist parties that try to make it out like they're not extremists. He's like, oh yes, we do have a few oddballs, but we're not crazy, we're not this, we're not that. You lots of flipping racists, get the fuck out.
Like, all we want to do is, all we hope to do is,
all you want to
we
do
just
is
want to
string all the black people up. Like, don't try it. Don't try
This
it.
is. And the thing that scares me so much, yeah, is that, like, it happened.
Yeah.
Like,
But this
it
is what I
literally
mean.
happened.
Like, the system is designed to keep certain people down. It's not a joke when we say this. Like,
yeah,
you
it's
think
not about voice.
literally, you think you're in this rat race and you're achieving stuff and you're getting this. These are false, like security whatevers. Like, I always say this, like the car you have or even sometimes the home you own, they just give you the illusion of wealth.
Do you know what it is? This country, glass ceilings everywhere. So
Literally.
it's like you can try and feel like, you know, you're going somewhere. You can see where you
But
want to
you'll
go
always
next.
be
But
capped.
it's actually glass ceilings.
Literally,
Yeah, it's
you
always
be
glass
capped.
ceilings.
And then they give you enough cushy things to make you think that, like,
Feel okay.
you're okay. Like, oh, I drive this car. Oh, I do. I'm en route. I'm there. But you will never be there because the people at the top will never let you in. You'll never.
Well, they might pick one that they allow to get a little bit further than the others, as, you know, okay, cool, well, you can hope and aspire.
In America, that's called Jay-Z. Okay, so you keep wanting to have dinner with Jay-Z. That's what it is. Okay.
This is the thing. This is why, like, in life, yeah, you want to have money. Like, I want to have money, but I just want to be cool. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get to a level of money where I'm having to interact with this kind of
people,
level of fuckery.
Yeah.
Guys, I really think you should watch this documentary, yeah? Maybe don't do it all in the same day. Like, for me, I watched an episode a day and I put days in between them because I was like, well, it's a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, it's so, yeah, it's a lot.
It's infuriating.
So,
infuriating?
Brexit now.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Infuriating, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
It's infuriating.
No, but I said
Yeah,
infuriating first. So.
it's okay, babes. We know what you meant. It's
Thank
okay.
you very much.
It's okay. You have to be, it's a pandemic. You don't go hard on yourself. It's a pandemic. It's a pandemic. So since Murdoch left Wendy, his relationship with his sons get better, right? So they join the family business again, but they have to work at Fox with Roger Ailes, who is the old white guy that we mentioned before, who looks about 92. They hate him, and he's trash.
Yeah. He's homophobic.
He's homophobic, he's misogynistic. We found out that he used to watch people on the security cameras all day, and he had security cameras in his house as well that he would watch from work. So I just feel like no one can do anything around him. It's like Big Brother is always watching kind of thing.
Yeah.
The Murdoch sons didn't like him, and he didn't rate them because he felt like they hadn't worked for anything and they just had silver spoon in their mouths.
Which is true, but still.
Which is true. I mean, I don't like any of them, to be honest. I feel like it's like...
Two things can
I'm
be
not team
true.
anyone.
Like, he can be right, but he can also be a prick.
Two things can be true, exactly. And two things are true in this situation. So now we're talking about Trump, yeah? And all roads lead to Trump. You've heard this on many an episode because all roads lead to Trump.
And this fucking fake tan.
He needs that filter by Molly May, boy.
Fam.
So Trump rates Murdoch. He tells Murdoch, how he's like running for president. Murdoch didn't really rate his campaign at first, yeah? So there's this bit that really annoys me where... we're at the Republican presidential debate, yeah? And it's hosted on Fox because Fox is that, wherever right or left it is, Fox is that way, yeah? So one of the talking heads, Steve Bannon, I think he worked for Trump, goes on about how hard they were on Trump and they were, asking him so many difficult questions. And the example that he gives, or the example that they show, is Megyn Kelly asking Trump if he thinks his misogynist comments are appropriate or indicative of what a president should be saying.
Oh my gosh,
is that a tough and unfair question?
How can you ask a white man about his misogyny? Like, do you not know how fragile their egos are? Stop it.
I mean, I thought that's a
get the
very
fuck out.
valid question. When he said he was being tough on him, I thought it was going to be some mad question. I said, wait, so
Literally.
you just asked him, why did you speak about that? Then he made a joke out of it. And I was just like, get the fuck.
And people were
ASAP.
clapping and getting excited. And I think, do you know, the problem with America is, and I guess this is where it differs to the UK's, the politicians there are reality TV stars.
Yeah,
it's
their
not
personalities.
literally, their personalities. It's not really about what they know or whatever. Like, Trump is
It's who
literally like,
likes
and
you.
they said it on this documentary, he's like gold for like news outlets and whatever, because you never know what's going to say. You can't control him. He's a loose cannon. He's still one of probably the only presidents who manages his own Twitter account, still has Twitter fingers. Like, so yeah, of course, like, you know, he's going to win because America is just a joke of a country anyways. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, people like it. It's almost like he's put a battery in the back of people who would ordinarily have like been quiet and not really said anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, that again, that can be its own episode, because I just feel like there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
But that's not my job. Cue Brexit. Okay, so we're back with Nigel. Yeah.
Brexit means Brexit.
Brexit. We still haven't Brexited, by the way. At the point of recording, we still haven't Brexited. But we're back with Nigel. Nigel tells us that Murdoch asks him if he thinks that Brexit is actually possible, and Nigel's like, "Yeah, babes, defo, because defo get this popping." Yeah,
I'm gonna give it to you, baby.
And one of the talking heads tells us that Murdoch had always been a Eurosceptic.
Rupert Murdoch has always been a Eurosceptic. You know, in Canberra in Australia, everybody listened to him. In London, the United Kingdom, everybody listened to him. Now in Washington, everybody listened to him. But nobody really listened to him in Brussels. He had very little clout there. He really didn't matter very much there.
Firstly, shout out to the use of the word clout before it became mainstream. Yeah. And also, like, it's just mad to think that, like, Brexit was really orchestrated by a couple of just insecure bitches.
Yeah,
just
literally.
like, because Brussels don't really care what you don't have the influence or the power over Europe.
So
unquote.
then you decide, like, that, you know what, we're going to
do you know
be.
what?
What a petulant
let's just
child.
cut them off.
Petulant. That's
Exactly.
the word I choose.
That is the word.
And also, can I just say, this all started because when this fucking started with Blair, actually, because he made Blair, like, the deal with the devil that Blair made was that for him to win, he basically has to come out and say that he would, before he allowed the UK to but join the euro, there would be referendum, and he wouldn't allow that happen. So because Blair had then said that, there was never the idea of us joining the euro never happened. And if we had started using the euro, which would have likely happened back then, we then would never have left the EU.
Yeah.
But so he
would have been harder, maybe.
Literally from time, Murdoch wanted
That's what I'm
to create,
saying.
and the thing that's scary
It was
about
orchestrated.
it's not like there's a valid reason for all this. He just wanted to have this country in his pocket. That's all it was about. It wasn't like there was a major reason why he really strongly felt. I would respect that more if there was a really big reason why he strongly felt that, okay, we need to leave the. It was all just because he wanted to maintain
of his business decisions,
absolute and total control over the UK, and that is very scary.
Yeah,
he is the king
it's
of
crazy
the world.
that one man could orchestrate this whole thing that is going to affect everyone.
For years
It's just
to come.
and like you said, for no massive reason other than my business interests were threatened.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of that?
Literally.
It's so scary. It's actually terrifying.
He's the king of the world, literally.
And then his papers back Brexit, and then what happens? Brexit happens.
Literally.
So it's like, why would he not think that it would happen when from every single prime minister he's backed has been prime minister?
Everything Murdoch wants to happen happens. Nothing that happens is by accident.
We meet Michael Heseltine, who is the former deputy prime minister, and he says,
"This is a foreigner interfering in British politics. And I don't believe that any other country would allow foreigners to have this sort of influence."
And honestly, like, this is it.
That's the crux of the matter. This man is not.
What other country, would let a next man have so much influence on how it's run?
When Chris
That's
Brown
why the
said,
UK is
how
a waste
you
man.
hating from outside of the club, you can't get in. But Murdoch not only has gotten in, he owns the club.
He owns the club, fam.
And the land that the club has been built on, by the way.
He owns the club. It's crazy. He's elected Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, David Cameron, Brexit, and now he has come to do Trump. Yeah.
All the
he
evils.
supports Trump.
And him and
every
Thatcher
problem
were
with
in
this
bed
world.
together as well, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because even from the beginning, fam. So he supports Trump, and he plans to use Fox News to promote him, which is why I actually finally understand why, like, all Americans, like, they either love Fox or they hate Fox. Like, there's two types of Americans. Do you know what I mean? There's either Fox or CNN. Like, there's no in between.
There's no in between, yeah.
And so Roger Ailes, the waste man, the misogynist, homophobe, he is one of the higher ups on Fox, and he gets accused by many women of sexual abuse. Surprise, surprise, pretends to be shocked, So basically, they have to get rid of him now because of that, which is amazing news for the Murdoch sons because they didn't like him anyway. So this is the perfect chance for them to force him out of Fox and basically be like, well, soz babes, it's time to get out, right? Which they love, amazing. And instead of finding someone to replace him, Murdoch steps up and is like, okay, cool, I'm going to just take charge of that. And what does he use Fox to do? To make Trump win.
Literally. And it's just like, imagine being his sons waiting for this man to die so you can take over. He has no plans. He hasn't
died. He still hasn't died.
He just keeps taking on more work and he is never going anywhere ever anytime soon. It is crazy.
Okay, luckily, the documentary is drawing to a close now because I don't know how much evil my heart can take. We see this interview, and I like this bit. This interview given by playwright Dennis Potter, and it's the last interview that he gives before he dies. And he says,
I call my cancer, the main one, the pancreas one, I call it Rupert. There is no one person more responsible for the pollution of what was already a fairly polluted press. And the pollution of the British press is an important part of the pollution of British political life.
And I agree with Mr. Potter. Rest in peace, Mr. Potter. But this is someone who quite blatantly could see what Murdoch was doing and what he was using his power to do.
Or they couldn't.
And no one else. Or they chose not to,
Yeah.
Or they benefited from it in some way, so they ignored the rest of the nonsense. Crazy. So lastly, we're back to who will run the Murdoch empire. I feel like we had to get an answer because, they were stringing it through the whole documentary. So he does what his dad did. His dad sold off loads of his empire and then he ended up with one newspaper. And Murdoch was really upset by that because he thought he was going to inherit like a whole thing. What does he do? The exact same thing. So he sells a lot of his stuff. And he keeps Fox, of course. He keeps a couple of newspapers in Australia, in America, in the UK. But he sells off quite a lot of it, right? So James is now married to a climate change activist. Okay?
And the hill James has chosen to die on is climate change.
This is the point.
And this is what pissed me off. Your family's been doing a fuckery since. You never said shit. But okay, so basically Murdoch does this interview saying that climate change is bullshit and it doesn't make sense and it's not real or whatever. And this is when James decides enough is enough, I'm speaking against my family. Not when people were getting their phones hacked into, not when they were choosing prime ministers and fixing elections, basically. But when his dad says he doesn't believe the earth is getting hotter, that's when he said this is the final straw. I just find it so funny that this is the hill that he chose to die on. And I personally feel like it wasn't even him that chose to die. I feel like his wife, who's the climate change person, was like, we can't have this, you better say something. Yeah.
And I feel like that is the reason he even said anything.
Yeah, literally. It's just what it comes down to.
So he cuts off his dad. Lachlan wins, basically, the end.
Yeah. And I checked up all of their net worth. I mean, they're all doing very well for themselves. Elizabeth is worth 350 million, so she's kind of like the broke bitch of the family. Lachlan is worth like 3-point-something billion, whilst James is worth 1 billion, which I thought was crazy. I just, the thing is that we all say we want a lot of money in this world, and I would not be opposed to a heap of money landing on my lap, but I just think it's a bit disgusting. What in the world do you need $1 billion for? Like what?
But I feel like we've had this conversation before that like there's just something inherently evil about a billionaire
having excess. But it's just, I mean, obviously, if you're a Christian, even if you're not, you have the 7 deadly sins like in folklore, and if you're Christian, you obviously know that greed and gluttony is like a sin. Like, you just think to yourself, first of all, for you to acquire that wealth, somebody somewhere lost out, because there isn't enough money in the world for people
that's the point,
to acquire that amount of wealth, without somebody else suffering,
stepping on someone.
And then secondly, you don't need that money. Like, the house they showed that Lachlan bought was ridiculous. It's one of the most expensive houses in Bel Air. He has 3 kids and a wife. You don't need that space. Do you know what I mean? But it's excessive wealth, and
this is the thing. I feel like there's a difference between being comfortable and being well off, and even
generational wealth. Like, you can have generational wealth without being a billionaire. Like, it's very disgusting.
I just think when someone is making billions, or like many, many millions, I just think, so who did you screw over?
Yeah.
Because there's no way.
There's literally no way.
I don't know, guys. Like this documentary, it was a lot, and you had to focus on it, but it did my mind quite well because I haven't had to really think in a long time.
I think we covered it quite well.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there was a lot. Do you know what it was as well? Each episode was about an hour, but I feel like each episode could have been 45 minutes if they alone reduced the amount of pauses that they took between things. Because it was to make it very dramatic, and it's very BBC, and it's very slow paced. But
yeah,
I don't want to say slow paced because there was a lot that it got through. But like, I might say something now, and then say the rest.
I thought the Wi-Fi
and then say the rest after. Like, it was literally, that's how it was. But I would still recommend watching it. Honestly, it's an eye-opener if nothing else. Like, it just lets you know that you ain't shit Sims. And you don't matter in the grand scheme of things. We are Sims.
Literally.
We are Sims. Yeah.
So what are we doing next?
Next, we are doing 21 Kids and Counting,
Really
which we said we were going to do
one.
before we took our break. So we're actually doing it now because we don't lie, okay? We promise.
And before you ask, what is the
21
crime
kids.
in that? The crime is having that many kids. I think we've established this. No person.
We were just speaking about excessive wealth, anything in excess, I feel is
predation
unnecessary.
is also a crime. Your
It's a
uterus
crime.
should not be contracting that many times.
Oh my days. And the vagine, I cannot even imagine.
It must be a
I
bucket.
cannot even imagine the
telling me
vaginal
some
cavity.
Literally, like she must be basically incontinent at this point. But I'm
And
saving.
the thing is that she actually looks quite good. She doesn't look like, I wouldn't look at her and be like, she's had 21 kids.
But each one must suck a bit of your soul out. Like, it's ridiculous. What the hell?
Do you know what I think the crime also is that she loves it. I just think, what is wrong with you?
Yes. You do it the first time, you do it the second time, then you keep going back and back for
Are you
more.
not bored?
Keep going back for more. Shit's like crack for sure. What song is that?
You better add that one to the
Oh.
playlist, boy.
Shit. My girl likes to sabotage.
Oh, yes. No, wait, what?
Oh,
that sounds like one of them
Wale.
That's a Raven band songs.
Okay, that needs to be added to the playlist. But yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, we're doing 21 Kids and Counting. Super excited.
Yeah, it's a
That's
lot more
definitely
lighthearted.
More up my what's that thing? Up my street.
Ali.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ali. But yeah, guys, you can find us on what the hell is wrong with me? You can find us
on Instagram
on
and Twitter.
Instagram at 2girls1doc, Twitter 2girls1doc, and Facebook as well. We never start a conversation. I'm going to starting conversations on Facebook because I hear a lot of other podcasts do it, and it seems like they get a lot of like fun interactions. So let us not miss out on the bants.
Okay,
I'll
true.
start
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
conversations.
fair.
BD, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at BD on eyewear.
It's just some really cool reels, by the way. Like, you should
That's
go watch
it.
them. I just came back on Instagram and I was like, what the fuck are reels? Literally, I had to Google
Oh
what
yeah.
are reels.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
And then I was seeing like all these different reels. I was like,
Instagram
oh.
it's basically TikTok on
But
Instagram.
do you know what? It was very smart of them because TikTok is in decline. So
TikTok is in decline because of Reel.
is it?
America were like they were going to ban TikTok. Everyone was living off TikTok. And then Instagram were like, oh, introducing Instagram Reels. Just like they did with stories. Just like they do with everything. Just like they did with videos even. Instagram literally is just, you can't eat like they did with House Party. Or they tried to do with House Party, but we were over House Party.
Yeah.
And they tried to do like, oh, you can call your friends in the DMs. Do you remember? They just steal everything.
Instagram is the Murdoch of social media.
Honestly.
But you say that,
Honestly.
but you have like 6 reels, so you are lapping it up as well.
Yeah, because I have to capitalize on the thing. I have to move with the times. I can't stick with my morals and be like, oh, you copy TikTok. And also, I didn't really use TikTok because I wasn't going to download another app. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I'm back on Instagram, 4 ends with 2 underscores, and Twitter. Finally, I have aligned everything. It is also 4
have
ends
you?
with 2 underscores. Yes.
oh, praise Jesus.
So
Praise the Lord. See?
yeah.
I knew my talking would get through to her eventually. But yeah, guys, I'll leave the trailer. And when I say trailer, I mean trailer. It was just like a makeshift trailer that I did last time because it wasn't actually a trailer. But
Yeah.
I'll leave that for you now to listen to. And then we'll see you next week for 21 Kids and Counting.
Thank you guys.
And you know another thing, yeah? The crime is and counting. So are you planning to have more?
Exactly. But maybe the and counting is grandbabies. But either way, it's all criminal
No, I think
activity.
they're gonna have more. I think there's a 23 and counting. You know.
Arrest her. Or give her a hysterectomy. I always say they should give that. What's that one that keeps having kids? Cece. Is it Cece?
Oh, Kiki Wyatt.
Kiki. arrest her uterus. It's enough. It's actually enough now.
Just the uterus.
Just the
Maybe
uterus.
some women like being pregnant, you know. I think some women actually like being pregnant.
I think I'll enjoy the attention of being pregnant, but not the pregnancy itself. I can imagine
the,
by the
okay.
7th or 6th month being like, this thing needs to get out of me now. Like,
Yeah,
you can't
I feel,
drink. I don't even think
Yeah.
I'm going to be like those glowing pregnant women. Like, my nose is going to swell up. I can tell. My boobs
No,
already.
you never know, man.
I know, but one thing I do know is my boobs are going to be like mahoosive because they're already big.
Oh my gosh, I really hope my boobs grow. There's this girl that I follow on Instagram, yeah, and she's
I know, you
like,
keep sending her to me. You've told me like 6
yeah,
times
no.
this is what you're going to
Actually,
do.
I haven't sent her to you in ages. She was like a B, and then she had a baby, and then she was double D.
Congrats. I won't even
And then she went
bother
back.
saying what I am now, but if I grow anymore, I
Yeah,
will
because
not
the
find a
milk
bra.
will help, innit, with the size.
Anyways, guys,
Look at this girl complaining. People are out here getting boob jobs every day, and she's out here complaining about her boobs that may get bigger when she gets pregnant. Oh, is she even pregnant now? No. Look at her lamenting. People are lying on the table right now, doing up 50 cc's.
But thank you guys for listening and rocking with us. We will be consistent.
Yeah, if you're still here,
now.
then wow, you just get a job.
Exactly. Are you unemployed, sir?
Are you unemployed?
Has the recession been
checking.
hard on you?
See you next week, sis
See.
and bro. Well, sis is gender
Sis
neutral,
is,
so
and
sis.
that is gender neutral.
Yeah. All right, sis. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
When we got to 20 kids, we did say enough is enough and that's it. But we just love having a big family.
So our big news is I am having another one.
It's crazy.